Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Exit the Maze podcast with Dr. Donna Marks and Scott Jones. And I want to thank you guys for joining us today. And I'm going to, let me send out a shout out and apology to the people because the last 2 weeks we had some vacations, we had natural disasters, we had all sorts of things getting in the way of podcasting. But we're back, and we will be back every Wednesday whenever possible to bring you this show. But Donna, welcome back from your vacation. You came back to a hurricane.
Yes, but it's interesting. Everyone says it's always. Oh, before I say that, we want to remind everybody that they can watch these on YouTube if they've missed them. We've got quite a few posted by now, and they can watch it on Exit the Maze podcast.
Yeah, you can watch it on YouTube on Exit the Maze on YouTube. You can watch it at the ATC network on YouTube.
Yes,
and of course our Facebook pages. They always have the links once we have the show on there. Their links are there. So, yeah, please share this with people. If you like the show, share it with people and let us know what you think and what you'd like to talk about. But, but good point, Donna. Good point.
Yeah. So anyhow,
but you're back from vacation. Great. You come back to a hurricane. I mean,
well, it's funny because everyone says, England and Ireland, it's always rainy. And every time I've been to England and this time in Ireland, it was perfect, sunny, cool. No rain.
That is so cool.
Cloud coverage here and there, but it was fantastic. And so I was really grateful. I loved Dublin. It was beautiful. All the people that we encountered, whether it was in hotels or at the gas station or in restaurants, they were all so nice. And it was just very refreshing. And yes, coming back to a hurricane, but my heart goes out to the people on the West Coast. We were so fortunate. I guess you probably got more stronger fringes of it where you are in the Lauderdale area. In West Palm, we didn't feel hardly anything at all. Maybe a couple power outages. I don't even know if they had to do with the storm.
Yeah, we had some gusty winds on and off, some heavy rains the first day. Second day, not so much. Second day was mostly wind. I know I was sitting in my living room because decided to work from home instead of powering up the office and having power go out at the office and frying computers. Decided to work from home. And I heard a strange noise outside my window, and then it started raining, and I never checked it. So the next morning I went out, and a piece of my siding was hanging off the side of the house.
Oh, so, wow!
Yeah, but I'm the handyman of my household because I'm the only one there, and and so the next day I was hanging from the roof, putting the siding back on, and minor stuff, but. Let's say again that those poor people on the West Coast, from Fort Myers up to Tampa and then across Orlando and all those places that got hit, ridiculous amount of flooding and everything else. We just wish they were all okay. Certainly, right?
We're so sad, and yet I'm very relieved to hear that there are all kinds of volunteer services available for counseling. I just did a little article yesterday on, make sure that you get help, because even though you don't think you have PTSD, if your roof got blown off or you were swimming in your living room or you lost an animal or all your belongings, you are suffering from PTSD now and for a while. So you can either carry it around for the rest of your life or you can get help now. And there's plenty of help available. And some of it you have to pay for, but there's lots of volunteer counselors through Red Cross and through the state of Florida. And you can just Google free counseling for hurricane victims, and you'll see all kinds of resources available. And so it's really important. And there's also a lot of financial aid. I know Red Cross has raised a lot of money. And then the state of Florida has a fund that they started, not to mention all the other government stipends that will be available. So please minimize your stress, get all the support that you can, and take care of yourself during this time. Take care of yourself by using these resources.
Now, certainly there are people that have been traumatized because they were there or because they lost somebody. There's also the people that did follow the directions. And by the way, I'm going to encourage you. I worked with the Palm Beach Gardens Fire and Rescue last week, and they reminded me to remind everybody that when you hear a warning, don't think that you're just going to be okay. Leave the area, because you put a stress on the resources that are available to help people if you decide to stay put. and you put other people in danger. First responders are put in danger because you didn't want to leave your house. So please heed the warnings. I know most of the time it doesn't mean anything. Consider it a mini vacation. Get out of town for a little while, come back, and let's pray that it didn't mean anything. But every once in a while when it does, that's loss of life. But there's also the loss of other things too, Donna, that I wonder if we could touch on just real quick because of living in this area.
And let's talk about PTSD and
yeah,
living
let's talk about that.
traumas.
PTSD isn't. People think that if somebody dies in front of you or if an explosion goes off, that's the old wartime PTSD that people think about. But PTSD comes in many forms, and we're going to talk about that. One of the ones that a lot of people are facing is losing every possession they have. Now, they might have been safe and they might have gone out of town. They come back and their entire household, family pictures, everything they have is underwater, ruined. What kind of trauma can that cause in a person to lose everything that they've accumulated during their life?
Yeah, it shatters your psyche. And what happens is when you first experience that kind of trauma, and whether it's a bomb or a windstorm or a flood or whatever, when you experience that kind of trauma and explosion in your life, at first you kind of go into overdrive. It's nature's way of supplementing all of your internal resources with lots of hormones and adrenaline so that you are razor sharp in your thinking and your strength is extra strong and you feel fine. You're loaded up with endorphins and here we go and we're going to be fine and we're going to rebuild and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And even though you might be crying or even though you might be breaking down, there's this extra charge going on, not for everybody, but for most people. And then what happens is you're going along and a month later, the wind starts blowing really hard, or you see a picture of the hurricane, or you hear the word hurricane, or you hear someone call the name Ian, or you or a loud bang, or something flies up against the side of your house, and all of a sudden you're shaking and you can't sleep at night and you're having nightmares and you're reliving this because what's happening is it got stored, the trauma, the post-traumatic stress, it got stored in your unconscious, and these triggers bring it up again and cause it to be refelt. And when that happens, you relive it. So this is why it's important to get help so that you don't relive it for the rest of your life.
Now, I could tell you were just in Ireland because you said Ian instead of Ian. Because here we would say Ian. You went with the European pronunciation of Ian.
That's interesting. One of my best friends, when I had my second child, named her son Ian. She wasn't Irish. And I said, what does that mean? She said, it's English for John, I think. English for John. So I've always said Ian.
Yeah. I'm convinced everything is a variation of John or Michael, and that's pretty much all the names. You made an interesting point that a lot of people, they kind of go into this adrenaline, endorphin rush, this instinct of getting things done, and they're so hyper focused. They're not thinking about the personal trauma. They're not thinking about those things, and those things, it's almost like they get sent to the back burner for a while because there's stuff to be done right in front of you. But how do people recognize that when they're doing that they need to be aware of those things? Are there certain signs that something might come up and show up later, or do we have to wait until it does rear its head with PTSD?
Well, you can be having signs all along, like you for some reason you could be having a great day and you have an encounter with someone and you feel yourself decomposing. You could be having nightmares. You could be having every time you go into a storm, you run back in your house, hide under the covers. These are signs that, and animals have it too, and children, of course. These are signs that you're suffering from PTSD. I have had to move a lot. I can't even remember how many times. And it's been traumatic. And lately I've had to move my mother, who's 91, 3 different times. And it's been very traumatic every time. Wow. Because it's not an easy transition. It's not just let's pack up and jump in the car and go. And today, right in the middle of notifying her current facility that I would be taking her out of there on Friday. You owe for the month is all they could talk about. And I'm like, I've been telling you for the past 3 months that she's been applying for Medicaid, and she would, as soon as it was approved, she would be moving. You needed to write a letter 30 days and, da, 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 da. And I just went, I could feel myself decomposing. I can't do this. I am too stressed. This is too much for me. And they went on and on and on telling me what I did wrong. And I said, you want to be right. That's fine. I really need to get some help to work through this. I can't do this with you. I'm going to ask, some other type of agency to facilitate this because I don't feel like you weren't informed. And if I didn't inform the right way or the right person, why didn't they direct me to do that, 3 months ago or 6 weeks ago or a month ago? So, but you have a lease and that's going to, so anyhow, I just finally said, I can't do this. I need to get off the phone now. But that's not me. That's PTSD. That is
Right.
trauma from feeling powerless as a child, moving all around, having a support system one year, knowing nobody the next. Where's my stuff? And all this, condensation of every bad memory associated with transitioning and moving. And, actually, I don't mind moving. I've gotten used to it and I'm good at it. But when it's compounded with a situation that's really painful or uncomfortable, it does trigger up that old stuff.
I used to
So
like the days of
you never fully get rid of it. What you can do though is know when it's happening and take care of yourself and not keep, sticking your finger in the light socket, which was what they were trying to get me to do. And I'm like, no.
no. I remember back in the days when I was completely broke and moving, everything would fit in the back seat of a car and maybe the trunk. Not quite as stressful as when you have a house full of stuff.
Right.
It gets, the more stuff you get, the more opportunities for stress you have. So that's interesting. So, I mean, there's people that are going through a lot of trauma from this. Stress is trauma. PTSD is a form of trauma. There's a lot of people that are going through trauma that were directly affected, but then there's an indirect trauma that sometimes happen. It's the same trauma that we saw in people who watched 9/11 on TV when they saw these things happen. And people were experiencing PTSD who weren't anywhere near the Twin Towers or the Pentagon or in the field in Pennsylvania. And then there's the same thing going on here where people are like, an entire neighborhood has been wiped out, and that's where you grew up, or it's down the street from where you live, and it missed you by that much, and now it's like, well, next time it's me. There's all sorts of little traumas that go on every day. How does someone maintain healthy mental health and monitor themselves? What are some good keys to monitor yourself to know that you're okay?
Well, if you're not feeling okay, it could be PTSD. It may not have to do with what's going on right now. It might have to do with what's going on right now or what's going on right now and the past. So if you're not feeling like yourself, take time to be quiet and see what, comes up through your mind. And if it's something traumatic that's happening or has happened, that could be an indication that you have unresolved trauma or that you just need to be able to take care of yourself. And if you're having that kind of an experience, make sure that you don't keep running into the wall. Take hot baths. You can either respond to this in a negative way or a positive way. You can, a lot of people, when they're suffering from PTSD, they drink, they smoke, they eat, they do all kinds of things to distract themselves. But that only creates more trauma. It doesn't really absolve anything other than intensifying the trauma because you're re-injuring yourself. But if you're having these kinds of symptoms that we've been talking about, and you take a hot bath, you go for a walk, you cuddle up in blankets and pillows, watch, old movies that aren't traumatic, love stories or comedies, do some journaling, talk about it, talk to a counselor. If you have a good friend that you can share and get it out with, that's always a good idea. But take care of yourself. Don't ignore the symptoms. That's the key.
It's here we are. We're bringing everything back to, again, your favorite term, self-love. And is that really effective? I mean, if you're suffering from some sort of traumatic event or PTSD or just feeling off, sometimes starting with something simple like a bubble bath or a hot bath or get a cup of coffee and go sit on the beach and just allow the sun to re-energize you. Simple things like that are a really good way to start, aren't they? It doesn't
Listening to
always have to
music.
be, I have to be in therapy tomorrow. Sometimes it's, maybe I just need to be good to myself today.
No, sometimes you just need to be your own therapist. And what
Ah,
do I need right now? Do I need a nap? Am I hungry? Do I need just to stop? And like you said, go sit on the beach, go sit in a lounge chair, cuddle up on your blankets and your pillow, whatever. Sometimes you just need to nurture yourself and to back away from whatever it is that's causing the stress and the trauma and the reenactment of the situation.
Now, obviously, you deal with addiction in your work, and you deal with other forms of issues, other issues that people have. I'm not sure if issue is the proper term. Is that a fair term? Issues?
Yes, it's perfectly
Okay.
fine.
Okay. You never know with the political correctness these days. It's like, no, we are mental capable or whatever. I don't know what it is anymore. But people have issues. Do you find a lot of people that end up with you never took the time to do any kind of self-soothing? Is that like common that people don't do that?
Well, they do it, but they don't do it in healthy ways. They do it in the typical,
Uh,
you know, um, conditioned ways, like you see your other people do, or like you see on TV. They go buy a new car. They go buy something else, clothes or shoes. They go work out until they can't think anymore or they drop. They will drink. They
yeah.
will smoke weed. They'll gamble. They'll get on the porn site. They'll do anything to not feel. And then they actually get a little relief from that because they've gotten an endorphin hit. But then the problem is still there. And sometimes it's even worse because then sometimes they have a consequence from doing the thing that they tried to feel better with, makes them feel guilty or makes them feel like, why did I do that? Or I got to stop doing that and those kinds of things. So, uh, yes, it's important to distinguish what helps and what really doesn't help. I guess a better way of saying that is what actually helps you long term and short term, and what helps you just short term, but then delivers an after effect long term.
I guess maybe a nice barometer we could put on that is if you're doing something that actually truly relaxes you, and does not numb you or does not distract you, but it does relax you, then you have an opportunity to deal with whatever the core issue might be. When you're doing these other things, even these, certainly the alcohol and drugs, but sex, gambling, shopping, anything that compulsive behaviors. What you're trying to do is you're trying to numb the stuff or cover it with adrenaline, cover it with that rush, and so there is no resolve. Unfortunately, that's what we do in this world, Donna. This is what we do. 99% of medications are all about treating symptomology and do nothing to treat diseases. And we are accepting that. We accept that. You know?
Well, we've accepted it because we haven't questioned it, and you and I are questioning it.
Yes.
Saying, think twice, get your own mind back. Do you want to be just constantly medicated? Do you want to not have your own ability to work through something taken away from you? Do you want your personal, emotional, and physical healing power to be diminished? And do you want to become dependent and addicted to substances? And so it's our mission to tell people, stop and think about this. Why do you have these symptoms? Are you doing something that's causing these symptoms? What can you
Absolutely.
do to resolve these symptoms so that you keep yourself and you don't lose yourself in a pill bottle or a whiskey bottle or a beer can or a wrapper or a slot machine or a porn site or a credit card? You don't
Yeah.
wanna lose yourself there. That's not where you live. That's not who you are. And so we're not judging, we're just saying, think, and try to make contact with that part of you that does know why you're here and can help to guide you into your purpose and your mission and to your joy and happiness.
Now we're swimming against the stream. We're swimming against the current on this because let me give you it's innocuous, but it's just the Snickers commercial. They actually have a Snickers commercial where they program you to believe that you become this horrible monster unless you get this Snickers bar in you, which will make you more of who you are. When actually what it's doing, it's creating a sugar rush, and it's not being who you are. So there's such a con in all of this, and to tell people they actually believe that by being a little bit drunk or a little bit high or a little bit of this or a little bit of that, and they're not worried about their problems anymore. They actually have conned themselves into believing that's how they fix problems, but
Well,
nothing's getting fixed.
Yeah, why wouldn't they believe it? It's normal, right?
Yeah.
Until you have high blood pressure, until you have heart disease, until you have a stroke, until you have cancer, until you have lung disease or kidney failure, suicidal ideology, or overdose.
Yeah.
But by the time that happens, you're often too far gone. And the people that get that far out to sea, when they're trying to swim back, very few of them make it all the way to shore. So we're trying to help people to say, let's stop. Let's just stop and rewind. How did we get here? We got here through being conditioned. Now, do we want to spend all our lives blaming pharmaceuticals, blaming candy bar manufacturers, blaming cigarette manufacturers, gambling sites? And no. They're just doing what they're doing. They're doing it like any other business. They're making money. What we do need to do is say, do I want to start something that if I do it once or twice or three times, I'm probably going to get addicted, not because I'm a bad person, not because it's my fault, but it's made to get me addicted.
Yes.
Do I want to try that? Do I want to swim with sharks and pet them and play with them and see if they'll bite me? So this has got to start early on. We can't, this nonsense of, say no to drugs to teenagers. It's too late. We've got to start from the time a baby's being made and in the time that they're born, that there are certain things that will make someone more susceptible to getting high than other people. And also to teach our children, your body is a sacred place, and show them pictures of a brain and a heart and a lung. Help them to understand that these are very precious, valuable organs, and they need certain things to stay healthy and other things. And show, if you can get them to draw, what it's like to put poison on something. I like to tell people, whatever you're eating, put it down for your dog or your plant or something. You say, oh no, I wouldn't do that. Pour a beer on your nice, beautiful green plant, but yet we do this to our bodies all the time. So anyhow, just shifting our this is what the point is. I don't ever want to be radical. I don't want to change anybody. I don't want to change anybody. I want to inspire people to connect with their inner highest self and think for their own selves. That's what I want.
I love that. And instead of just merrily going along, following like sheep in a sense.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I saw a news flash the other day that they're teaching kids that sugar is actually good for you for all the reasons you just said. Now, sugar is, I have a reference on this because I recently wrote an article. One doctor said it hits the brain the same as crack cocaine.
Right.
And they put so much sugar in these things, and now high fructose corn syrup, that you don't have a chance of not wanting more once you eat it.
It's, we've got sugar, we've got caffeine, we've got nicotine, we've got all sorts of stuff. And, we don't think about our body chemistry. We don't think about treating ourselves well. I love the idea. Like you said, they spend a lot of time in school teaching kids things that, that they don't need to know, and not enough about what they do need to know, which is, how to take care of your body and how to live in the world.
Ask your mom to give you fresh fruit and eggs for breakfast, not candy, which is what cereal is.
Yeah. Or the
Then,
worst of all,
and then you
Pop-Tarts.
won't be running around the room and get sent to the doctor and be put on pills that make you an addict by the time you're 6 or 7 years old.
It's just a process. It's all out there. The funny thing is that every human being looking at a swimming pool that's full of green sludge will look at it and say, that's not clean. Its chemistry needs to be balanced.
Right.
And they understand we got to put some chlorine in there. We can't have that in there. We've got to have some clarifier. We've got to have pH. We got to have alkaline. We got to have all these different things. And we understand that. And we look at a swimming pool, but then you look at the stuff you're putting in your body and you're not thinking about, think about that green sludge in that pool when you don't take care of it. Now triple that and put that inside your brain and your body, because that's what you're
Right.
doing to yourself.
Right. And I can't tell you how many times how many friends I've had, like their houses are so clean and they have this really good filtered water and they won't use any plastics in their microwave and they won't use any products that aren't totally natural for cleaning. And they're smoking cigarettes. It's like, what?
I know. These are the guys I see all the time, Donna. The people getting sober, the big muscle people, the muscle covered in muscles and tattoos, and they're like, well, I'll go to that treatment center, but I need to go to the gym 4 days a week because my body's a temple. And it's like you were shooting heroin in your neck last week. At what point did your body, what is your body, a temple in the front and a crack house in the back? What is this deal? What are we doing here?
Right.
It doesn't even make sense.
The disconnect. Yeah. There's such
We fool ourselves.
That we have a sound mind and we have a mind that's gotten hijacked by addiction and they're always at odds with each other. By the way, you look nice and fit.
I'm getting there.
Unreal.
I got a little upset the other day. Because I don't weigh myself because I don't want to be that obsessed guy. I basically go by how I feel and how my clothes fit. And it's a much more fun way to do that. Like I said, I'm on it. I had to get a new belt because I ran out of holes on that belt and I was all the way down tightening it all the way.
All right.
So now I was like, I'm onto another belt and it's like, but my stomach is still big because Mother Nature has this great sense of humor that says, I'll help you lose weight, but it's not going to come off where you want it to right away. You're going to lose it in your face. You're going to lose it in your arms. You're going to lose it in your legs a little bit, but your belly will be the last thing that's going to shrink.
We all have our nemesis.
What's that?
We all have our nemesis.
Yeah, I know. Some people it's the thighs. Some people it's the butt. For me, it's the belly. And although it feels different, it still feels too big because the rest of my body's shrinking. And what'll happen is my body will start to regulate itself, and then it'll start taking the belly off. And here's the thing. It's not about that, though. I'm glad I'm losing weight. I'm glad I'm able to fit into different clothes, and I'm starting to feel better. But it's about my psychological health. I feel better about me, not because I'm thin, but because I don't feel like I'm dragging around weight that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, like carrying around 30 or 40 pounds of sacks of potatoes with you wherever you go.
And I know some people that are heavier than me, that they're not losing weight, but they're perfectly happy. But my body, everybody's body type is different, and nobody can assign that to us. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Because they try to assign that with Barbie dolls and Ken dolls and models and all and the Kardashians and all these things. They're trying to assign this is what you're supposed to. No, some people are a little heavier, some people are a little lighter, some people. I am not living in the body that I'm comfortable with. I know where that body is, and I'm working towards it. I feel wonderful about it, and I'm having so much fun. It's adjusting my thinking instead of going to the gym and working out for 12 hours, then running home to weigh myself. I'm simply adjusting to a new lifestyle that makes sense that I can maintain. I can't maintain 4 hours a day at the gym.
A lifestyle of self-love.
Yes. And treating myself well. And that means, okay, I still love to sit and watch my Survivor and a couple of TV shows, but I don't watch shows that I don't want to watch anymore. I'll watch those and then I'll get up and I'll stand while I paint, or I'll go in and I'll play my guitar, or I'll take a walk, or I'll go out and see my friends, and I'm more active. And on occasion, I make it a treat. I make it a treat when I get takeout food. But it's not my norm. It's now a treat. If I want to get some chicken and broccoli, fine. It's a treat, but it's more fun to cook at home now because I get to experiment with stuff, you know?
Are you getting a
So
lot of positive feedback?
I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people are seeing it like in my face, especially and stuff.
Uh-huh.
They're also telling my attitude is different and I'm just happier.
Oh, your energy and your level of positivity is 100% different.
Yeah. But it's stop believing the hype that I have to reach a certain size to be that person. I'm
Well,
that
that's the
person
addict.
simply
The
because
addict,
I'm taking
that's
care of
the,
myself
that's
and
the,
therefore I
that's
feel good about me.
right. That's the addict that'll say, why isn't your stomach smaller yet? Well, it
Yeah.
takes a while for that skin to go back to normal, for one thing. It could be an insulin thing. I know there's an ad on TV all the time that a lot of that stomach weight issue is an insulin issue. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it could be. But, I love it that you reframed it right away. I'm not focusing on my stomach. I'm focusing on all these wonderful things. I'm
Yes.
eating healthy. I feel better. I have more energy for people. I have more energy for the things that I love doing. And my belt doesn't fit me anymore. Da, 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 da.
So I got a smaller waist and it's I had to switch to smaller pants, but I'm keeping the same size shirt for now. But that'll come down. It's
Yes.
just but the thing is the
I
act
hear hope
itself.
in your voice. I hear hope.
Yeah.
Hope.
It's because the act itself of treating myself well, and I'm preaching to the choir here, and you wrote your books on this. The act of treating myself well is in itself the reward that I needed to be happier. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And if
Yeah,
everybody could do that,
there is no other reward that works other than don't want to feel good, don't want to be happy. Well, then I need to learn what are the ingredients that will do that for me?
and it's developing other habits, things like I notice people out there, they don't make their bed. I make my bed, but I make my bed for a specific reason. When I get home from work and I'm tired, or I'll get done, sometimes I get home and I'm doing podcasts at night. I did 2 last night. I didn't get done podcasting until 10 o'clock last night. I was tired. But when I walked into my bedroom, it was like this warm hug of somebody cared about me enough to make this bed.
And it
And
feels so good.
guess what? It was me. That was so neat, And people
Yes.
need to doing those things. Now, what does making my bed have to do with losing weight? Nothing. But it makes me feel good about myself, which will keep me on a path to treat myself better,
It's
which will
part of
take me on a
loving
path to
yourself.
lose my weight.
It's part of loving yourself.
Yeah.
Leaving a nice, tidy bed, all nice and made, and walking in and like, oh, the room looks so much better with the bed made. Yes, it feels good.
Yeah. I mean, I even have a decorative pillow I throw on there too. I mean, just for just for the hell of it. But
Yeah, loving yourself isn't some monumental task. It's a moment to moment choice to do the right thing for yourself.
and I think everybody looks for the grandiose, Donna. Everybody wants a grandiose answer to a problem that simply requires a moment of care. Why is that? We want the Niagara Falls when all we need is just a cup of water.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, that's because the part of our mind that gets addicted to these things always, thinks it's going to be hard and, oh, it's going to be so hard and I can't do it and I'm so miserable. Well, that's because they're not doing it from the place of love. They're doing it from the place of abstinence, and that never works because you've got to fill that empty hole, that invisible hole, I call it in my book. Got to fill that with something. And
Yeah.
you're supposed to feel love and loved and loving. And if you're not, you have to learn how. And that's what you're going through right now, which is so exciting.
You can't heal somebody you despise. And, I can't heal myself if I don't.
That's really a powerful statement.
Yeah. Because you're pouring negativity into it already. You can't possibly heal somebody you despise. So if you despise yourself, how are you going to possibly heal? And nobody else could do that for you. You could be led to great therapy. You could be led to great programs that can give you all these answers. But as long as you're despising yourself, you're just kind of like going through the motions. You've got to find a way to connect and like yourself again. And, it's the little things. It's the little things. Years ago, I wanted to lose weight and I ordered something called P90X. You know what that is, right? It's a workout program that the Navy SEALs do. Now,
Oh,
I
okay.
could not commit to walking every day. I could not commit to doing push-ups every day. But somehow my grandiose thinking had me thinking I'll do what the Navy SEALs do every day. It was a waste of time because again, I was shooting so far away. It was almost like I set myself up for failure by doing that.
Right. You were
Instead of just
doing a list of instructions rather than the shift and
yeah,
perception of, I want to learn how to love myself.
and then do simple things every day. Add the extra glass of water, do this, do that. Simple things, and when they become habit, then I pick up another one and that'll become habit. And it's just such a great journey, but there's so many people that are living with all sorts of pain and suffering and everything else, and they keep compounding it because of the self-loathing that they have. They don't treat themselves well, and I don't know how to get the message out there. I mean, I would love to just go out and it's the old commercial. I'd like to buy the world a Coke, and I'd like to give the world a hug and just say, love yourself, because that's the answer to everything.
Well, you just did, and people are going to hear you and they'll share it with other people, and it will go around the world.
I have to ask you, and if you don't mind saying, because we got a few minutes left, because this is something we're going to talk about. And if you watch the show, folks, if you had people coming in and out, maybe it's a busy Wednesday, so we're glad you guys were stopping by. Make sure you watch the whole show when you get a chance. What was it that sparked the whole idea of self-love being at the center of everything for you? Well, where did your revelation come from?
Because I had been in recovery for 23 years and relapsed. Because when I went into recovery, I did everything I was told. I went to treatment for a month. I did all the steps. I spoke. I helped. Everything, and I something just wasn't right, and then my life wasn't working. I mean, in some areas it was working beautifully. In my career, it's always been working very, very powerfully. But in my personal life and my relationships, I was so stuck. And I had years and years and years and years and years of therapy. And then talk about hurricanes. My house got hit by 3. I had a fire in my house that we just moved in and renovated everything.
Wow.
And then I had a fire in my business. I had a little, in addition to my counseling business, I had another small business. But just the stress of all that. Then my former husband died of cancer. I took care of him through that process. And I had breast cancer myself and had surgery, a
Wow.
mastectomy. I mean, all of this stuff. It just finally, I'm like, nothing's right. And I even discussed it with my sponsor and my therapist, and my sponsor didn't discourage me from trying to drink again. And my therapist said, you don't have a problem. You're not an addict. This is so dangerous because there's so many therapists who do not understand addiction. And I
Wow.
actually had a boyfriend at the time who was a physician. He said, you're not an addict. I work with it all the time. You're not. So anyhow, it took about 2 years, but anyhow, I definitely found my seat in AA and went back. But right before I did that, I was having an emotional meltdown, and I'm like, I just don't get this, God. I have done everything, and I don't know why. I don't feel love. I don't feel cared about. I don't know why you've abandoned me. And it came through loud and clear. It's not me that doesn't love you. You don't love yourself. And that really took about 24 hours of deep, deep thinking. I did go immediately and picked up another white chip, and haven't had any desire to because I did all the same things I did the first time that kept me sober all that time, praying for it to be removed, and the obsession and all that. But the issue had never really been addressed. I had switched from one thing to the next. When I quit smoking, I started compulsive exercising. When I quit drinking, I started working more. Romance and relationships, and even spirituality junkie. I mean, I was just substituting one addiction for the next, and I had not learned how to love myself. And I spent a lot of time thinking, what in the world does that even mean? And I was shown what it meant. And I changed all of my behavior, not all of it, but all the behavior that was unloving into loving behavior. Little things like cuddling with my pillows and being grateful in the morning, making my bed, getting on my knees, which I'd already done, but it was a different prayer this time.
Right.
What can I do for you instead of what are you going to do for me?
Yeah,
And just a whole shift in consciousness, which I wrote in my 101 plus ways, which are in the book that's coming out in April, The Healing Moment. We published them in the book, but they're also, you can find them in my blogs and stuff on my website. But this was it was beyond a psychic change, because we talk about that in the program. I did have a psychic change, but it was a little bit beyond that. It was actually how to be the parent I never had, and how to, as if I were a brand new baby, what were my needs? What were the needs of my environment? And then as I became into more of an adult, how to have relationships, how to find my voice, how to try to work out things in relationships, how to love people, bless them, and set them free if it wasn't working out, how to do that with love and care, how to continue to be aware of when I'm feeling that emptiness. It's not that I need something. I'm just either too tired, or I need to sit down and just get 5 minutes, close my eyes, and get refilled with spiritual sustenance. So anyhow, I could talk for hours about all the things, but
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
find your own, like you have. You find your own, because this is me. You find it through art. You find it through looking at that belt and tossing it into the garbage can because it doesn't fit you anymore. You find it through all those beautiful things on your wall. You find it through your guitar, your music, through, reconnecting with people, and people love you. They love you, Scott. You're so dynamic, and you're not hiding out anymore because you're not carrying that sense of shame or whatever it is. Your light is on. Your light has come back on. So when our light is on, we do attract love into our lives because we're being that love.
And the more you start to really express that love inwardly and take care of yourself, the less important it comes to you in any certain form from others. I mean, I certainly want to be loved. Of course, we all do. I mean, by people. But I used to be so obsessive about it. I would get upset if people I didn't like me. I would be obsessed over that. It's like, I don't like this guy, Bobby, but then I found out Bobby doesn't like me. And I'm like, okay, now I got to fix this. Well, why? you know, I was so obsessed with getting everything from the outside, but now I'm pleased that I have a lot of friends and I've got a good life and I'm very happy. Um, but I'm not dependent upon how other people treat me. I'm dependent upon how I treat me. And when I treat myself well, I find myself treating it manifests itself outwardly too, doesn't it? It's like, if you're being good to you, it's almost by default, you end up being better to other people as well, don't you?
Absolutely. It's all the same.
Yeah.
All the same. You can't love someone more than you love yourself, and you can't be loved more than you love yourself.
And if you have that self-loathing that a lot of us carry for a long time and all that shame and guilt, and we want to express love to others, well, how's it being generated from a place of negativity and a place of sadness? It
Right.
can't generate love. It could generate, a lot of platitudes, but not the actual love itself.
You got that right. The platitudes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can fake it really good, but
Yeah.
it's not real and
But
it's
it
not going to
doesn't mean
serve.
you're gonna make it.
No, it does not mean I'm going to make it at all. It means I'm on a short timer with everybody that is in my life because I'm not being genuine. I can't be genuine because if I were to be genuine, the stuff I'm feeling on the inside is the only thing I could express outwardly. So if I want to be a loving person, it's got to start by loving me so I can love others. And
Exactly.
it's just and I know we started this whole thing, and we'll end it with our prayers and thoughts, and certainly everything goes out to the people who have been hurt in the hurricanes, the hurricane and the flooding. Um, and we pray that for you and your families, and even that you get back on your feet with your possessions and everything else. But please, take care of yourselves. Certainly look for that help, but help yourself too. Don't turn this into hate. Don't turn it inward. Don't turn it into shame, because it could happen to any of us. I mean, geez, what'd you say? 3 hurricanes and a burned house? I
I
mean,
did.
come on,
And
Donna.
in 2 years, it was, we moved in, the house burnt down, then there was a hurricane the following summer, then two in a row. It was, and then amidst all that, a fire in my business, and the hurricanes hit the business too. I mean, it was just like a blur of insanity, and I didn't pass the test.
But that could happen to any of us,
No,
you
but
know?
I think the real thing is I just had untreated addiction, all
Yeah,
through all
yeah.
that. I'm trying to have relationships, it was just I was not right. It's just that simple.
All right. Well, we've had a few likes here, and I guess they weren't commenting with us today, but they've been popping in and out. So thank you for joining us. Please remember to share this with your friends. Check it out on
Yes.
Exit the Maze YouTube channel and on the ATC network on YouTube. And of course, all of our Facebook pages. We just like to share it with everybody. But I mean, we're not doing this to generate some advertising. We're doing this because it feels good to share positive messages with people. I'm stating that for me. I assume I'm stating that for you as well, too, Donna.
I just want, I just hope that at some point, and it probably won't be in our lifetimes, but at some point, there is a movement, and we're not the only ones on the movement. And at some point, addiction will be something we used to do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
As
Let's
a
pray for
world.
that day.
As a
Let's pray for
world.
that day.
Yes.
It'd be a nice day when I'm out of business and you're out of business because everybody's healthy.
Exactly.
That would be a nice day. Unfortunately, I don't see it anytime soon, and we just got to keep plugging away, sharing a
Right.
positive message. And if
Right.
you've got positive messages, share them too.
Yes,
People need to hear
absolutely.
more positivity.
Right.
But yeah, Donna, thank you very much. I appreciate having you back in town, and we'll be back here next week at 1
See you
o'clock.
next week.
And beyond that, like I said, do something nice for somebody today, and do two things nice for yourself. And when your head hits the pillow, you're going to feel really good. I promise you that. Any final thoughts,
Absolutely.
Donna?
No, I ditto.
Ditto. There we go. All right. Thanks for joining us here on Exit the Maze for Dr. Donna Marks. I am Scott Jones saying we'll catch you next time.